you. Hey everyone, welcome to Free. I'm Ryan and I'm the pastor here. Glad you're with us today. Just to give you the reminder, we are a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And we like to break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. I want to give a shout out to Jason Q. I don't know if we've met before, but man, I appreciate your real and authentic share in the comments that you did while our timer was on. Brother, I'm glad you're here. Stay put. This community, as I said in the comments, will love you. They will walk with you. We will walk with you. I'm glad you're here today on this Good Friday. So this is Good Friday, y'all, which means in the Christian tradition, we're going deep into darkness. So brace yourselves. Let's go into the darkness together. I want to start with a video slash song. It's produced by our friends over at The Work of the People. You can check them out at theworkofthepeople.com. They do some awesome work. But I want to start with this little reflection and ask the question, have you ever felt forsaken by God? Have you ever felt that God has abandoned you? And not just you, but the world. Has it ever felt like God is absent? So take 3 minutes, quiet yourself. Feel free to close your eyes if you'd like. Listen to this song. Watch the video if you want to keep your eyes open. And then we'll come back. But have you ever felt forsaken by God? Engage that question within yourself.
Oh God, have you forsaken me? Forsaken me, forsaken me. Oh God, have you forsaken me? Forsaken me.
There's this great cultural temptation to simply skip over Good Friday and rush into Easter. And even if you didn't grow up in the church or you didn't grow up around religion, you're probably familiar with Easter. You might even celebrate it. But see, Good Friday can so easily get tossed to the side. And Good Friday recognizes darkness, Jesus' death on a Roman execution stake known as a cross, and Easter celebrates new life, Jesus' resurrection. And so I get it. Let's just skip the darkness and death stuff and celebrate the new life and resurrection stuff, especially now, especially this year in the midst of a pandemic, in a world that is filled with death and dying and addiction and brokenness and uncertainty and job loss and so many other losses. We crave new life, don't we? And so we want to skip over the darkness to get to the new life. But see, when we do this, it's not really new life, is it? And again, I get it. It'd be easier to skip Good Friday and just get to the Easter celebration. But see, this is good news we're dealing with here. And it's not really good news without the bad news. And see, when I first got sober, I remember I would be meeting with my sponsor and I would ask him every single week, hey, how quick can I make it through these steps? I mean, can we just get through one step every couple of days? Can we fast track it? Can we put it on a 30-day program? Because the truth is, y'all, when I hit my bottom and I started reaching out for help, I was miserable. I just wanted to get to the other side. And he would always tell me, I mean, every single week that we met, he would say to me, Ryan, we don't want to rush it. We've got some stuff to work through. And see, now in looking back, I could see that I had to deal with my interiors. I had to deal with everything in here. It wasn't just about stopping drinking, though that was a huge thing in itself, but it was also dealing with all the interiors, my spiritual disconnection, my need for control, my shame, all the ways I caused harm to other people. You see, we're good at avoiding darkness, aren't we? I mean, honestly, it's dark. It's scary. And if I decide to actually go in there, then I have to actually come face to face with my shadow side. One evening while I was sitting at his kitchen table and I was coming clean with my journey and I was admitting to him the exact nature of my wrongs and I expected judgment and condemnation. But what I got from him was compassion. He would shake his head and say things like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Because he had been there. He knew the pain. Entering into being present in darkness, it is, y'all, it's the hardest work you will do, but I promise you, it is the way to light. It is the way to new life. One of the great spiritual teachers, Pema Chodron, she has this definition of compassion, and I want to share it with you. She says, compassion is not the relationship between the wounded and the healed. It is the relationship between equals. Only when we know our own darkness well can we be present with the darkness of others. And see, what I think she's saying there is we have to know our own darkness well enough so that we can sit in the dark with others. And isn't this what Jesus was doing with the cross? Entering his own darkness, every step with the cross, every nail that was pounded in, it was like a big me too. I mean, have you ever shaken your fists at the heavens and you shout out to God and you scream out, God, this is way too painful. God, you don't know what this is like. You haven't walked in my shoes. And the cross says, yeah, me too. I've been there. I know what that's like. And see, while Jesus is hanging on the cross, he lets out this blood-curdling scream, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. And he shouted it in his native tongue, in the Aramaic, which translates to, my God, why have you forsaken me? And notice how hard it is to enter into that darkness. You mean Jesus felt abandoned by God? And we say sometimes, oh, he didn't really mean it. I mean, I've heard pastors say this. He didn't really mean it. Oh, he knew what would happen 3 days later. So it was like Jesus was really just giving this big wink, wink to the world saying, this isn't too bad, you should stick with me. No. He'd been betrayed by his friends, beaten by Roman soldiers. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Have you ever felt forsaken by God? Like the light had been extinguished. Jesus says, yeah, me too. Me too. Entering into the darkness, it is the greatest act of solidarity with the suffering. You see, Good Friday calls us to sit in our own darkness, to become intimately familiar with it so that we might sit with others in their darkness. And y'all, right now, we can't afford to avoid the dark places, to ignore the hard stuff, because the hard stuff that you've been through or the hard stuff that you are going through now, it is the very thing that will allow you to relate to and connect with other people who are suffering. The hard stuff you've gone through or that you're going through right now, it has a way of ushering in compassion. You know, during a recent interview, Brene Brown was asked, after having lots of success with her books, she was asked, are you less afraid of the dark than you used to be? And I love her response. She said, no, I'm not less afraid of the dark. I just know that if you're willing to go in, there's beauty in it. But if you're not really afraid of the dark, she says, it's not actually the dark. And see, the truth is, the dark is scary. Who wants to go in there? And the other truth is, there's some darkness in the world right now that demands our presence. It was just a few days ago on Sunday morning where the Surgeon General said this would be the hardest week for many Americans in their entire lives. Darkness. And we get to go in and be present with others. Others get to be present with you. And see, what I know about the dark is I've been in there before. And I know the beauty if I'm willing to go in. My friends, I'm not sure we can experience light without having gone through the darkness. Or to put it more simply, I'm not sure we can experience Easter without having first experienced Good Friday. I'm not sure we can experience resurrection without having first gone through death. So let me ask you some questions. What darkness do you need to be present with today? Where is the world groaning with pain, with agony? Where are the places, the relationships, the things in your life or the things in the world where you say, this can never be put back together again? Where do you feel a sense of hopelessness? And does it feel like God is simply absent? Where does it feel like the light has been extinguished? And let me give you this reminder. It's okay not to be strong. You don't have to hold it all together. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel weak. You just have to be willing to go in. You see, perhaps the rest of today and tomorrow, it can be a bit more quiet for you. A time to go into the darkness. A time to pray through the darkness. And so I want to invite you all, if you're willing, I want to invite you to fast with me. If you don't know what fasting is, if you're a bit fuzzy, it means not eating. And I want to invite you to fast with me from sundown today till sundown tomorrow. And I want you to Replace not eating with a time of quiet, a time of prayer, a time of inviting God in. I want you to ask God to give you the courage to enter into and sit with your own darkness. I want to invite you to pray and ask God to give you the courage, the boldness to enter into the darkness with others and sit with them and be present in that darkness. So that would be from sundown today, which means I'm going to have lunch or late lunch or an early dinner and then not eat until tomorrow sundown, because tomorrow we are going to celebrate Easter, new life. My brothers and sisters, as you enter into the darkness and as you hear the voice, my God, why have you forsaken me? Where are you? It's my hope and prayer that you hear the God who whispers back to you, yeah, me too. Me too. I've been there. I know what it's like. I've been there. I've been there. I've been there.